All right, coming up on the Locked On Ole Miss podcast, we recap a eventful signing day, lack of drama and everything that's kind of become a hallmark of the Lane Kiffin staff. We talk a little bit about it, and Ole Miss a 62-52 winner over Western Kentucky, right here on the Locked On Ole Miss Network. Stick around.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, welcome to the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. I am your host, Jaron Willis. Thank you very much for tuning in today. Signing day is behind us. We have a couple more players that are going to ink on the dotted line, a couple of 4 stars that are yet to go. So this class is going to get a little bit better, but we can't talk about them yet because their paperwork is not in. So we'll get to that in segment 2 and segment 3, but we're going to start out with Ole Miss a 62-52 victor over MTSU. What I noticed from this game is that Ole Miss with Deshaun Ruffin is a little bit of a different team than without him. He fills a role and allows other players to play in their natural best position. Now, I do see them struggling to defend at times, and that concerns me. But you can see offensively how things can work when Deshaun Ruffin gets in the game and does what he's supposed to do. He's a good little point guard, and I think he had 9 or 11 points or something in relatively quick succession last night, and was probably the difference in that game. And like I said, he allows them to go. Now you have Matthew Morrell as a top 50 player. You have Jamin Breakfield as a top 50 player. And now you have Deshaun Ruffin that's a top 50 player. So you can get a little bit closer to that potential. Now you have players that are really springy like Matthew Morrell. And, that's worth talking about. But anyway, I do want to tell you before we get too far into it that today's episode is brought to you by NetSuite. NetSuite is the #1 cloud financial system to power your growth. Head to netsuite.com/LockedOnNCAA for special end-of-year financing on the #1 financial system for growing businesses. Also, thank you for making Locked On Ole Miss your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, soon to be including YouTube. Anyway, we're talking about the Ole Miss Middle Tennessee game. The Rebs were able to get a 10-point win. And you saw a little bit of the focus on the offensive team shift to Deshaun Ruffin. Now, he has to get into fitness. He's not into shape after sitting out for a month to the level that he needs to be. So over the next couple of weeks before SEC plays, it is critical to get Ole Miss where they need to be. Because Ole Miss can be outside shot challenged. They can make some. They're better than they were last year. Now, I'm not saying they're not. They're better than they were last year. But they're still in a situation where droughts can happen, especially from the outside. But whenever the threes start going in, they start making those, the offense is actually fairly decent. So they need to clean up some stuff defensively, and they need to shoot a little bit better offensively, and they have a chance to win a few games. Now, we're talking about an Ole Miss team that, just looking at it right now compared to what they are going to see in the SEC, I think they're bubbly at best at this point. We'll see whenever SEC play starts. Ole Miss has a little bit of a start to the SEC slate, and it'll be interesting to see. Let's bring that up real quick. They have Dayton coming up Saturday, and Tuesday they have Samford. And then they open against Florida, which doesn't look like the daunting prospect that it normally is. They go at Tennessee, they play Mississippi State, and they go at Texas A&M. The goal is to get to 2-2 with Auburn coming into Oxford. Missouri, not an overly good team. So you could end up 3-3. But the funny thing is, after January, both games against Mississippi State's in January this year. Weird schedule. And the SEC Big 12 Challenge this year, they play Kansas State in Oxford at the end of January. So they actually get to take part in the SEC Big 12 Challenge. So it's pretty interesting. They got Alabama at home. It's a decent schedule, but like always, the SEC schedule is going to be really critical to the Ole Miss basketball team, because if they're not good in the SEC slate, these non-conference games just don't matter, or they're amplified to a level that is beyond their importance, if that makes sense at all. And because of that, it becomes, it is what it is type situation. So let's see what's going on real quick. Okay. Make sure my ads are in the right spot. Sorry about that. Well, when we look at this basketball team, like I said, they have trouble shooting the ball from time to time. They have trouble and can go through droughts. They need to defend at an extremely high level. Their path is what they did to Tennessee last year, honestly. They're a little bit more athletic than they were last year. And as they grow into this team, they could get better and better. And I'm not saying they're locked into what they do. I'm just saying what I'm seeing right now. But it's at the point where these 3 losses in the non-conference schedule are probably going to come back and bite them. They had a chance to get wins against Marquette and Boise State. They weren't able to do that. And Western Kentucky, that was a pretty good drubbing as well. But they did beat Memphis, which that does count, because Memphis went through like a 4-game losing streak and then beat Alabama. So I don't know. It's just such a situation where basketball has not honestly revealed itself at this point. So yeah, I don't know. It could be a little bit more, it could be a little bit less. Who knows? So, coming up, we are going to start talking about signing day. We'll go over the signing day and what it means. And then we'll also start getting into some players that we are looking forward to, because today and tomorrow we're going to talk about some players from this signing class that has a chance to be pretty special moving forward. There's not many of them. They signed a small class. They did it intentionally, but they might have a way to make this these players. That doesn't mean they're not good players that are available in this class. But when we come back, we will hit that. All right, BetOnline has you covered all season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before as football continues its march to the playoffs. BetOnline remains your number one spot for sports action all this season. Head to our new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use promo code LOCKEDON to receive your bonus. From basketball, football, NHL, boxing, and UFC to your favorite Vegas casino games, don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for 2021. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. You listen to podcasts for the power of knowledge. You switch to Boost Mobile for the power of saving money. Because with Boost, you get the power of a free 5G phone so you can listen to all the latest episodes. The power of 3 unlimited data lines for $30 a month per line so your family can harness all that brain power as well. And the power of one of America's largest 5G networks so you can do it all at the speed of 5G. With all that money you'll save and all that knowledge you'll gain, just how powerful will you become? Switch to Boost Mobile and find out. Get a free Samsung Galaxy A32 5G when you switch to one of America's largest 5G networks. More power to save, Boost Mobile. Disclaimer, free phone line limited to new customers, 1 per line. Additional restrictions apply. Offers coverage not available to everywhere or all phones and networks. See Boost Mobile for details. All right. Welcome back to the show. We're going to talk a little bit about early signing day. Basically, I've told you all week that from the beginning of this podcast on that signing day has been diminished. It's gone down and down and down. And because of that, people don't really know how to take it, because as it becomes less important, people start freaking out a little bit. And that's fine. People are going to freak out for different reasons. Maybe their money is tied to signing day being a huge drama-filled event, and then when it's not, it's going to come back and get them a little bit. Maybe it's that they just don't understand the lack of importance that's placed on this. Maybe whenever you have 4 categories of players, you need to pick and choose how those look. So Ole Miss signing 17 kids in a top 25 class. That's a decent class with 17 kids, to be as small as it was, with a couple of 4 stars left to go. So that's fine, with Bryson Hurst and I think Davidson and Bunkson signing later on. Paperwork's not in. Don't know what that's going to happen or what's going on, but those are the 2 players that are out there. Now, because of the lack of importance of what signing day has become, because of the transfer portal and everything else, and it's just basically because, well, let's go back in time a little bit. 5 years ago, there was signing day. First Wednesday in February was a huge event. It was the event for everything, other than 5 or so players that you could get that were mid-years from JUCOs. I mean, that's the way it was forever. This February signing day was the way to go. And then they added the early signing day about 5 years ago. I don't know exactly when it was. Don't hold me to that. But that diminished the February signing day significantly. But because of the February signing day, the early signing day was not as important as it was. So people that built an event around signing day, they were trying to figure out how to do it. Because if you remember back when Robert Kimdichie and those guys signed with Ole Miss in February, there was live shots everywhere and announcements and a big day-long show on ESPNU, and that's just what they did. Well, when the early signing day came in, that diminished the fact that where neither was as big as that February signing day. Then you had the transfer portal with the 1-year transfer exemption to where you can move. Now, all of a sudden, it's not that important where you sign, because you can go to another school. You get a mulligan. You can go to another school with no repercussions. It can't come back on you. And that's a huge thing, because now on signing day, the important thing is not finishing number 1 and signing that kid, because in the system they had, you were locked in. You had to stay at that school. If you wanted to leave, it was going to cost you a year of eligibility. The penalty was just great. But now with that mulligan and that transfer, it doesn't really matter. The important thing on signing day actually becomes finishing in the top 2. Now, you want to be in a position to, whenever they don't promise and they don't do what they want to do, they're locked in by transferring to you. And it's a chance to get them down the road. It's a long game. It's not building up a relationship that just stops on signing day. Everybody always used to joke about today being National Unfollow Day, because you can stop following kids. Now you can't. There's a chance in a year they're at another school and going through this process all over again. And that is killer to industries that were built on signing day. There are groups like Rivals and 24/7 and now On3 that have built their brand on National Signing Day. It's everything to them. It's what they're built on. They have extra stuff, sure, but it's built on National Signing Day. And whenever you take away importance of National Signing Day, they're going to panic. It's going to affect their bottom line. Understand that. And because of that, they're having to drop into even more tactics. Like a huge tactics for making money is fear. So just understand what's going on. Whenever you look at it, open up the 17 names from this class and see who's on there. See the number of 4 stars we have in that class. And just understand that, yeah, it's fine. Because there's other schools that signed more kids and are ranked higher, but they're going to be limited to what they can do in the portal. People are choosing to build their team a certain way. And let's be honest, you can't really build programs anymore because head coaches aren't here long enough to build programs anymore. You have to build a team. There's no more redshirting and, having them available 5 years down the road. The odds of a coach being here in 5 years is not good, as we've seen. Urban Meyer, I think, just made it 12 games or something in Jacksonville. But understand that the relevance of National Signing Day has been diminished. And that with early signing day, that has been diminished by the transfer portal. And the transfer portal has been diminished by 1 year free transfers. Now, you take all of those things, you can build your roster. And you can construct it in a way that can compete at a very high level. Because the way it was, here's the dirty little secret about that signing day and everything's going on. It's what made Blue Bloods. When Alabama and Ohio State and Oklahoma could recruit to the playoff and everything they did, and everything was on high school recruiting, they had such an advantage moving forward. Now with the transfer portal and everything going up, these second-tier schools that's in this caste system has a chance to move up and compete at a much higher level. You have a chance to overhaul your roster. It's like the difference in the NFL in 1978 and the NFL after free agency. To where in the 70s, the Saints just couldn't get out of their own way because there was no way to build your team other than the draft. You were stuck with what you had. Archie out there running for his life. But after free agency, they were able to build. When it first came into the league, they were able to build. And all of a sudden, the Saints are in the playoffs. And then it goes to the next one and build some more. Collective bargaining agreements after collective bargaining agreements are signed. And free agency takes root in the NFL, and the Saints are able to overhaul their roster and in 2009 win the Super Bowl. For people that went through the 80s with the Saints and went through the 70s with the Saints, it just doesn't make sense that something like that could happen. But it did. So, all right. When we come back, we are going to talk about some players that are standing out. And tomorrow's podcast, we're going to talk completely about players that are standing out. But the main one or two I'm kind of looking forward to, we're going to come to after the break. So stick around. This is it, the putt to win the tournament. If you sink it, the championship is yours, but on your backswing, your hat falls over your eyes. Is this how you're running your business? Poor visibility because you're still relying on spreadsheets and outdated finance software? To see the full picture, you need to upgrade to NetSuite by Oracle. Over 27,000 businesses already use NetSuite, and right now, through the end of the year, NetSuite is offering a one-of-a-kind financing program to those ready to upgrade at netsuite.com/lockedonnca. Head to netsuite.com/lockedonnca for your special end-of-year financing on the #1 financial system for growing businesses. That's netsuite.lockedon. That's netsuite.com/lockedonnca. So you give those guys a good look. They're the #1 cloud financial system that will help power your growth, and basically, it's a pretty good deal. So give them a call, netsuite.com/lockedonnca. All right, welcome back. Kind of want to talk about the signing class, basically, over the next couple of days. And the main thing we're going to start, and it begins and ends with Xavier Harris in this class. Xavier Harris is a kid that if he was signed in closer to signing day, that much more big deal would be made of him. He's the Braylon Brown of this class. But before we get started, thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss Podcast your first listen every day. Make sure to check out the Ultimate College Football Preview 2021, local experts, betting advice, and draft analysis. The most comprehensive college football preview begins this Friday. I'll be on there with Josh Neighbors talking about the Ole Miss Baylor game, so tune in for that. I'll send the link out whenever I get it. So Xavier Harris, is the important piece of this class. And if he would have waited till closer to signing day to commit, he would be a much bigger deal. He'd be very celebrated. He's a mountain of a man. He's 6'7", 350. He's a national top 170 recruit. And he plays that nose guard position that Katie Hill hits. So you have a supremely athletic guy playing that role. He has a chance. He's a perfect fit for this defense. And everybody wants to talk about the 3-2-6. He's a perfect fit for the 3-2-6 with that nose guard and the two ends on the outside rushing the passer. So I expect him and his athleticism to see the field fairly early, potentially early in the season next year, him rotating with Katie Hill. The other one that really stands out is Jaron Willis. Great last name. As you can imagine, I'm very impressed with that one. Also with P. Willie. They stood out quite a bit in the past. So Willis is a good name for linebackers at Ole Miss. He's 6'2", 220. I think right now, I don't know where he grows. He's a National 200 commit, 4-star. He's going to play in the Under Armour All-American game. But right now, he kind of looks like an Otis Reese plus, maybe a Mark Robinson. And I say those two names intentionally because they are from the same high school that Jaron Willis is from. So they played an immense role in recruiting him. Great linebacker, worth watching play, but he's a guy that could play in the middle, then the Mark Robinson type role, or one of the box safety type things opposite of a Tysheem Johnson. He could fit in there. I need to see what he does in coverage. I want to see what it looks like. But whenever we play against murder ball teams like Alabama did to us last year or Texas A&M tried to do, he's a guy that will fit in greatly with what we try to do with the 3-2-6. So pay attention to that. And Taylor Groves, we'll also hit that real quick. Taylor Groves, I'm really impressed by Taylor. He's a kid from East Robinson and Cross Plains, Tennessee. Top 250 kid. He's a safety. Good athlete. Everything that you want in a player. And he's been a great recruiter and helper of this class. So that is interesting. Those are the three players that we are going to hit today. And tomorrow we'll hit a lot more, including like Jarrell Stinson and Quinshon Judkins, who I'm very, very impressed with. Because now, once we hit the upper 3 stars, I think Quinshon Judkins is criminally underranked in this class. He might be the top player in this class. He's a TJ Yeldon wannabe. And he has a chance to, with Jerry and Ely's speed and Snoop Connor's size, he has a chance to be very, very special. So Quinshon Judkins, we'll talk about him tomorrow on the podcast. But thank you very much for tuning in today. This has been the Locked On Ole Miss Podcast. Thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss Podcast your first listen every day. Tomorrow we will go over early signing day a little bit more. Now make your second listen Locked On Bets, your daily one-stop shop for all your gambling needs. Locked On Bets, hosted by your boy Q with expert analysis and an insight from Lee Sterling. It's free and available on all platforms. This has been a really good time, really great day. Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll catch you tomorrow.